Well, a statement put out this morning by the INEC chairman tells us it's exactly 100 days to the elections of 2023, February 25, Saturday, 8:30. And among other things that he said is that political parties and political leaders should conduct their campaigns peacefully, eschewing divisiveness, rancor, and violence. Well, that's the statement right there, and a number of things you're going to be seeing about that in the course of time. But let's speak to that and a number of other things that has been raised in previous conversations, especially the track that you just saw from the candidate of the Labour Party with OSA Director, who is Spokesman, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. He joins us here in our studio. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, let's begin with that, I don't know what to call it, difference, conversation, public conversation between your candidate, the former governor of Anambra State, and the current governor of Anambra State. How is the campaign handling that?
Yeah, ideally, we didn't want to dignify the comment with a response, because as you've just listened to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, he responded in a very dignified and measured manner, as he wants to do. And the National Party chairman of the Labour Party, Comrade Julius Abure, has also responded. And yesterday on your program, Politics Today, the Director General of the Labour Party Campaign Council, Dr. Doyin Okupe, also responded to the issue. What I would like to see, or what the Campaign Council would like to ask, is that there are certain questions arising from the unwarranted vituperations of Governor Soludo against the candidate of the Labour Party. One, ask yourself, is Soludo a member of the Labour Party? He is a member of APGA, All Progressive Grand Alliance, and APGA has a presidential candidate. Why is he not campaigning for his candidate? Even from his statement, or what I would regard as his diatribe, he took his candidate under the bus. He didn't even give him any consideration. Why is he not campaigning for another party and trying to demarket the Labour Party candidate? And secondly, you appreciate the fact that Soludo is a major beneficiary of the legacy of Peter Obi. In the whole of the Southeast and indeed the country, the only place APGA wins election is Anambra State. And that is because the pioneer governor, Peter Obi, left a solid legacy, served his people diligently, and the people decided to be rewarding APGA for that.
But don't also forget that your party candidate swore that he would never leave APGA. Now he has done that twice.
Well, I'm not a politician. He's in a better position to answer that. You know, and I'm not even aware of that, but he's in a better position to answer that. And you also know that there are times you make statements, and that is why we always caution that you must not be extreme in your pronouncement, because there are certain forces that could come to play to make you change your mind.
Mr.
And the
Director,
truth is that, sorry, it is only a coward that does not change his own mind when faced with current reality and fresh information. So I'm sure the information available before our candidate made him change his mind.
Mr. Director, you talk about vituperations, and if we look at, if we examine the issues at hand, you know, vituperations go both ways, both for your candidate in question and the governor of Anambra State, particularly because I watched that edition of Politics Today, and on both occasions when he was asked questions about, you know, the Labour Party candidate and former governor, he chose to respond moderately. And when he was asked about the investment made by your candidate when he was governor, he said, you know, investments that are now worthless, for which your candidate has now confirmed that when it was made at the time, it was worth 50 naira and is now 5 naira. So isn't this, you know, much ado about nothing, particularly when you consider that after he made those comments, now confirmed by your candidate, he said he was attacked and his family members were attacked. Were those attacks warranted?
Certainly unwarranted. No attack is necessary in politics. And that is why I respect President Goodluck Jonathan when he said his election is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And our candidate has continuously insisted that all obedience should refrain from even cyberbullying and attack on anyone. It is a decision deliberate.
How seriously has that comment been taken by the obedience, as you call them?
Yeah, but you see, this is a process. The truth is that it has moderated a lot of the obedient followers.
You think it has?
Yeah, it has.
How?
Because I mean, you are not seeing so much of cyberbullying, except if they need to defend, you know, because when you attack, it's not everybody can fold their hands or turn the other cheek for you.
If it has, would we have had this, you know, level attack on the Anambra governor? He went as far as saying that even, you know, the arrest of gunmen who went to attack his hometown, you know, just after that interview, you know, there were insinuations that it had something to do with it. So have obedience really been moderated? If obedience, you know, are responsible for, you know, the vituperations on the Anambra governor before he came out to speak his mind?
Thank God you said there are indications. These are not evidential facts. These are not something that you can, material evidence that you can point to and say, yes, it is the obedient people that did it. Don't forget that Anambra State has been quite restive for some time. So it is easy during this kind of political period for you to pin some of those things on any candidate that you are not supporting. So you cannot for sure say that those things were done by obedient or supporters of Peter Obi. But I can tell you for sure, Peter Obi is against violence. You even saw his response at the Lagos Business School alumni. Very measured, very dignified. And he insisted that government is a continuum. If you say it is now worthless, you have been given an opportunity now. Please, you continue from there and make it better.
Well, governance is certainly a continuum, but one of the things that a number of people would always want to raise is if governance is a continuum, there is supposed to be progression, progress, so to speak. Now, you just said now that Anambra is restive at the, you know, has been restive over a little bit of time. But if the foundations were solidly laid by your candidate when he was governor, and in order seeing into the future and knowing that these things are likely to happen because of the nature of the people and all of that, would we be having the kind of what you call restiveness now in Anambra, if the foundations were solid enough?
You have to contextualize that. The issue of security or insecurity in Anambra State and the Southeast is not peculiar to Anambra alone. It's a product of what I would call regional agitations, you know, where the IPOB is insisting on self-determination, just like you have in the Northeast. It's generally across the board. And constitutionally, even though the chief executive of the state is the chief security officer, they have no control over the security apparatus.
So you're excusing your candidates of
no.
responsibility for laying a proper foundation that would have...
He did lay a proper foundation because you are aware...
What kind of foundation did he lay for security when he was in Anambra as governor?
Yes, you are aware that one of the campaign vital points that my candidate or our candidate of the Labour Party has been raising is that he was given a clean bill of health as governor of Anambra State by the then Inspector General of Police, that Anambra State was crime-free. And that is why we are saying that governorship continued. It was left for those who took over the reins of power after him to sustain and
which
improve.
raises the challenge, because there is something they say in leadership, in the leadership space, that the fruit of success of a leader is not in when the person is in office, but after the person has left the office, how sustainable his legacies are. That's the challenge.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That you will even discover that even in advanced democracies, I mean, like for instance, when Donald Trump took over in America, it was debatable. A lot of people felt that democratic values suffered recession. Will you now blame Barack Obama for that? It is the character and personality of the individual, especially in an environment of or like our country, where there are no defined ideological boundaries that leaders operate or parties operate. So you have a situation where you have successes in leadership based on the strength of character of the person who is in power. And once he leaves and you have someone else, he will also bring his character to bear on leadership. It might be positive, it might be negative.
But then there are those who will also raise issues around the strength of the institutions that he left, while he was in office. How strong were those institutions to resist any, what you call leadership differences that could toggle the foundations that the leader lays?
There's no constitutional room for state police. We have a federal police. Because of the strength of his character and his commitment, to security, he had a very good working relationship with the Nigerian police, to the extent that they were able to ensure safety of lives and properties in Anambra State with all the security network. So and since you don't have state police, when he left, the onus was on the governor that succeeded him to have continued from there or even built on that. So if there is a shortfall in terms of commitment to security, you can't blame my candidate for that. Because he did his bit while he was there.
Perhaps we should leave the past behind. Because, I recall that you started by reminding us that INEC has said it's 100 days to the election. Yeah. So let's take a peek into the future. Some of the candidates are positioning to the extent that they're saying that, if elected, they would let the private sector lead. And it's reminiscent of one of the major promises of your candidate. He has said that he's going to move Nigeria from a
consumption to production,
consuming nation to a producing nation. To look at his manifesto, he specifically notes that he's going to make Nigeria a fourth industrial revolution capital with the development of new technologies. The question is, how is he going to achieve this?
Yes. One of the 7-point agenda is that Nigeria is a monoproduct economy with heavy reliance on oil, and that he wants to leapfrog it to embrace the fourth industrial revolution, where there will be a convergence of Internet of Things, robotics, and artificial intelligence to catalyze and promote economy and development, in the sense that you are going to technologize a technologized economy using modern technology to promote and stimulate growth. And what does that mean? We are in a global world today, a global village, where people sit down at home, like you have in the case of boat. A man who is not a driver, a man who does not own any car, is controlling millions of vehicles and raking in millions of dollars. You have just Bezos in Amazon, doing his own thing in terms of book distribution and storage. So he is saying that you have a vibrant youthful energy. 54% of Nigerian population are youth under 30, that he wants to tap into that potential to ensure that they have training and retraining in IT. And we have a collaboration with international organizations to the extent that they will be able to stimulate growth and development. So all he needs to do, or all he wants to do, is to provide the enabling environment for business to thrive using technology.
The question is,
which is brilliant. But we run a multi-party, kind of democracy now, which is even emerging and expanding, particularly with the entry of your candidate. Yeah. So how will this document be embraced if we have, different parties emerging victorious at different levels in different states of the federation? So how will this document be fully embraced? How will your candidate cause it to be fully embraced nationally?
Yeah, the issue is that, there's what you call broken legislator in democracies where a party does not have a total majority in the House. Then that is when you're being politically savvy, when your leadership quality comes into play. So our leader has demonstrated this kind of leadership at a micro level in Anambra State, and I'm not in any doubt that he will do it if given the opportunity at the national level. And he will only just, through persuasion, through conciliation, through consensus building, and get a buy-in of all the states. For instance, when Fashola was the governor of Lagos State, I can tell you that people were coming to Lagos to just get a roadmap. But people were duplicating what was happening in Lagos all over the states because you want progress. So if my candidate or the candidate of the Labour Party is able to show that, yes, this is the way to go, and pragmatically people can see the benefit of these things, your state will have no choice than to key him, because you have people from that state who will say, no, please, Mr. Governor, let's put politics aside.
But the concern is your party is not presenting candidates as it ought to, particularly for this 2023 election.
Yeah, people have said that our candidate, our party does not have a national spread, but that's neither here nor there, because the statistics they are banding around, does not really hold water. I agree that in some states we don't have candidates in the going for the National Assembly elections, that the Senate and the House of Rep. But I can tell you that nothing is so good that it cannot be better. Even those who are in other parties, when they see what is happening in Labour Party, for the benefit of the generality of the masses, will support the program.
Would you say that the ethos of your party, of your candidate, from consumption to production, would you say it is an ethos that is original to him or to your Labour Party?
Well, it's just like when you talk about the issue of research. You and I know that in academics, we are not really reinventing the wheel. You are only deepening the tentacles, the taproot of knowledge in a particular area. So it is possible. People have been using that. It's possible that people use that language. But what he is saying is that it is time Nigeria should transit from consumption to production.
Because there is a book written in 2017 by Professor Oyelaron Yeyinka titled From Consumption to Production, and is specifically talking about Nigeria. Is that where your candidate got the ethos from?
I mean, there's always a pool of knowledge out there that you can tap knowledge from. Just like these crises about hope, renew hope, and no hope, And like the explanation, hope is an English language. I mean, it is not the entitlement of anyone. However, for this purpose of plagiarism, you must cite the source of your words or your sentence, So I would say that my candidate, people just restrict him to the fact that because he jokingly said that he's a trader, he's a trader, he has a store, and he was just governor of Anambra State.
So you can't say for sure whether or not, he copied it or lifted it from
No,
there.
he didn't copy, but there's a pool of knowledge out there that he definitely got all these things from. For example, now, our manifesto is not yet out because it's still being reworked and people are making input. And that is why I'm challenging all the presidential candidates to engage in debate. This debate is not for fun.
You just raised an issue that I was going to question you about, ask you a question around, which was that of the manifesto. One of your spokesperson had come on air to say that your candidate was delaying release of his manifesto because he didn't want it copied or plagiarized by other political parties. Now, other political parties have released their own manifestos. They are in the public domain. It's easy for anyone to assume that Labour Party withdrew its first draft in order that it can copy one or two things from other political parties.
I think by the time it comes out, you will be the better judge.
But don't forget that he also said it at that he made that statement, Bukola, cited it earlier, where he was speaking. He said that everyone who is going to be campaigning will be saying, he said they all will be saying the same thing. So how is your manifesto going to be different?
When you say they will all be saying the same thing, that's a general statement. There are areas you have to boil down to specific. For example, now, everyone will say, we want to move from consumption to production. Everyone will say we want to guarantee security. Everyone will say we want to ensure that we have power. Because these are basic things. But how you do it is what will be the difference.
Okay, I guess we'll have to wait for that plan, because it's not just what you say you're going to do, it is the how that
Yes, that's
Nigerians
what I'm
are
saying,
going to be interested in. So we'll wait for your manifesto then. When is it likely to come out?
Within the next 7 days.
Within the next 7 days. So that means by this time next week, Tuesday,
sure.
it'll be out.
Sure.
Okay.
So perhaps we'll have you back on the program.
Okay.
I'll be glad to be here.
OSA Director, Spokesman, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for giving us your perspectives.
Thank you very much. Thank you.